Good evening. I am coming at you tonight from Islesboro. I'm really excited to be teaching this lovely class in this beautiful place. I was just talking to my family and they were like, "Are you bummed that you're teaching on your vacation?" And I was like, "No, I love doing this. I love teaching and I love the way that I feel when I do yoga." So I know it's always going to be a bonus. I'm taking advantage of this beautiful porch and also some props that I have. So the only props that I'm going to use tonight are towels, right? Airbnb, that's kind of what I have here. So this one right here is two towels opened up, laid flat on top of each other, folded in half the long way. So you make the longest rectangle possible with your towel and then kind of rolled up burrito style. And I'm going to use that to kind of drape myself over backwards and sideways. And then I just grabbed a little hand towel just to soften things up for my head. But I'll be using this and only this tonight. But if you want to use something else, bolster, whatever you got, grab it, right? Also, yin is kind of cool. So I'm on a porch, it's outside, it's likely going to start raining in the middle of class what I'm teaching. So I've got some layers and some socks to keep me nice and warm. All right. And we'll go over and get started in a side bend posture. All right, here we go. So I've got this rolled up towel here, and it's going to support my side body, kind of from my armpit um, down to where my lower ribs are. And I'll drape over it in a way where, so this is my right side that's touching, coming down onto the towels. So my right arm is down, and then my head is resting, and you could build up whatever you have a little bit higher if that feels comfortable, or maybe you take it away so that your head can drop. And then we're going to stretch out the left arm here. So it's going to go up and over, which is going to kind of pull and open up this connective tissue in the back side of the arm and the underarm and the torso or serratus area that can get really tight, right? We don't often have our arms up over our head. And if we do, it's usually very brief, right? So it's a great range of motion to find. With that said, the shoulder doesn't always like this. So if you have something, maybe another towel, maybe a pillow, you could put in between your arm and your head, something comfortable where you can kind of rest it into your shoulder. Is not, it's not feeling any pain. In my sequence and just in my environment right now, I'm being very inspired by the ocean and one of these little fingers of the main island that I'm on, just seeing the drastic change of the tide. And so, really tapping into the energy of the tide and feeling the tide within our own body, you can watch the rise and fall and how your body moves as you breathe. You can keep this arm variation, or if you'd like, you can come into a bind. This will kind of open up the front of the left shoulder. So I'll bring my hand up, reaching to the sky, and then rotate so that the thumb is a little bit closer to my feet. And this will allow my back of my hand to come to my lower back. And then I'll kind of, just by default, that left arm kind of leans back a little bit. Sometimes it's nice to tuck it into the waistband of your pants. if it's hard to hold there. We'll release from this side. So I'm going to go ahead and set up. And just so that I'm still facing the camera, I'm going to go ahead and move my props around, but you might just roll over to the second side. So now if you're on the same side as me, it's the left side that's resting on the towels. Our left arm is resting down on the ground, and it's our right arm coming up and over. And keeping with this theme of the tide, you might just kind of acknowledge what's going on in your life that's affecting your mood, your body, whether you're feeling like you're in a high energy time or a low energy time, or a busy time or a slow time, a frustrating time or in the groove. And just kind of acknowledging that there are always these cycles. All right, and your arm can stay as you are, or come into the variation where the back of the right hand comes to the lower back. Rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall of your breath. And just like the fingers of Maine's coast, where is the breath coming in, filling up, and rushing into in your body? All right, in our next pose, we're going to be back bending over this prop. So I'll move so that my mid back is supported, mid to upper back is supported with the towel. And you want to feel like your head is resting down. So you might need to prop something underneath your head a little bit higher or slide yourself back a little bit more. I'll have my arms into a goalpost shape, but you could really do whatever feels comfortable. And then either take a butterfly variation with the bottoms of the feet coming together and the knees coming out, or the knee knock variation, which I think I'm going to stick with for my body personally tonight, where the feet are wide and the knees fall towards each other. Right? And this new pose, changing the coastline, the shape of our body, tune back into that tidal flow of breath. We'll take a few more breaths in this pose. And then we're going to come into a supported bridge. So we'll take my legs out of knee knock or butterfly, whatever variation they're in. And then we want to get whatever prop we're using behind our back to be behind our sacrum. So I kind of reached behind and tugged that down, right? So it's kind of supporting the back of my hips. You may have to roll to the side to do that. And then certainly adjust anything under your head. You want to feel the back of the shoulder blades grounded. So that might influence how you're kind of posturing yourself over your prop, whether you're scooting forward or back slightly. And then you could have the knees bent with the feet to the mat or some degree extending them forward. Coming into this late summer, early fall season, we've been focusing in on our second chakra, kind of the core area, our stomach meridian. So it can be nice and yin to open up and send that area some breath. I'm going to rebend my knees. I'm also going to position the towel underneath me a little higher so that I can come into a supported waterfall pose. So bring one knee in, then the other towards my chest, and then just let them dangle up towards the ceiling. Arms rest heavy where it's comfortable. As a counter, before we come into the pose, if you haven't eaten anything recently, it might feel nice to let the knees bend and the thighs fall towards the abdomen for a brief compression. And certainly just bring your feet to the ground and slide your prop out a little bit sooner if you're not digging it. Eventually we'll all meet just flat to the mat or whatever's underneath you. So I'll set my prop aside. And then we're gonna come into an internal rotation twist of the hips, twisted root. So I'll have a prop over to the left side to support me. May or may not need that. I'm gonna wrap my right leg up and over the left so that my thighs are making contact. I'm gonna step into my hips, position them, or step into my feet, move my hips a smidge to the right so that my knees can fall to the left. And then build up your props underneath so that you feel rested in your right shoulder, arm, neck. There's no strain there. You can take the arms in a T shape, or I've been liking interlacing the hands behind the head. And bring the gaze to wherever it feels best. Check in with your posture. We have about 1 minute left. Where can you soften? Is your body calling to go deeper? Pull out slightly, pull out completely. We'll make our way to center. Pause in half corpse with the knees bent, feet to the mat. Rest the hands on the lower abdomen and tune into your breath. You don't have to fill up completely full of air, but take nice full cycles of breath where you feel the breath drawing down into your body. And to the other side we'll go. I'm going to bring my little towel roll here over to the right side just in case I need that for my twist. I'll wrap the left leg up and over the right. I bring my hips a little bit to the left as my knees fall right, coming in slowly as this side might require a different depth than the first side. And just being cautious if this side is a little bit more sensitive, not coming in too quick. Not coming in too quick and allowing ourselves the full amount of time to come into whatever said depth of the pose might be available to us. One more minute. And slowly make your way out to center to half corpse. We are coming up to a seat. You could roll through fetal shape to one side or rock and roll up. Okay, so for these seated postures, or for this first one here, I'm kind of feeling hero's pose, right? So put something underneath you where you can sit for 5 minutes and the knees aren't going to be talking too loudly to you. A nice modified hero's pose is sitting in a low, sturdy stool or chair with kind of the feet pulled back with the tops of the toes down, opposed to feet flexed with the bottoms of the feet down. Right? You want the knees to be nice and easeful. Okay, so we're gonna come into a little bit of a neck stretch and we'll do that same bind that we took in our kind of sideline banana pose. So we'll take the right arm out with the thumb facing down and the back of the hand will come to the lower back. I'll let this right shoulder relax nice and easy, and then I'll let the left ear fall to the left shoulder. Come up, the right arm, release, and we'll do that to the other side. Release the arm, release the neck. And then we're going to come to sit on our bottom. So you could lean forward, come through tabletop, adjust your prop so that you're sitting at a good height with your bottom resting to something, whether that's the mat or your folded towel or bolster. But we're going to take a side bend. So we're going to extend our legs out. If your seat is a little bit higher and you see, this is a great perspective to see, you can see how there's a little bit of space in between my knee and the ground, right? There's some sunlight coming in there. That is a spot to prop, right? So you could have something small like a little towel tucked in there. And then I'm going to start by going to my right first, right? I'm not mirroring you guys, left, right, whichever side you go for. And you'll want, as you come into this side bend, to modulate the gravity in these upright postures. Gravity might be pulling your torso too much, right? So you could put something, folded towel, in between your side waist. Maybe your forearm rests down to a prop. And I'll start with the left hand to the hip. If ever in the postures the breath feels stifled, it could be too deep. The breath should always be moving easy and free. And we'll start to bring the torso upright, coming out of the first side, and then pausing, right? This midpoint intertidal zone of our pose, and noticing the aftermath of one side before oscillating to the next. Come and easily decide if and how you'll prop your pose. Slowly start to make your way out of the second side. Okay, and now down the center we go. So as we come into this forward fold variation, we want a little rounding in the spine. If the lower back is sensitive, with many of us it is, you can always build up the ground in front of you for a little support, whether that's a prop or block, blanket, pillow, or even your arms, just pressing down into something. If the ground is too far, press into a pillow. And then we stay with the pose, we stay with our breath. We modulate the pose, right? Change our modifications as we feel more or less intensity, right? Allowing gravity to take us deeper when we feel the body's ready, kind of taking a step back if it's feeling like it's too much. push the ground away to help the torso upright. You can help the legs come in. And we were reclined so much today that I thought maybe I would sit upright for final rest or do a little meditation. But if you want to take a shavasana, go for it. Find something where you don't feel like you're working the body, getting a stretch, anything, whether it's upright, supine, or prone, that you can be comfortable doing. And then we'll just tune into that breath, tune into that internal tide, right here, right now. And feel free to stay with your rest or your meditation as long as you'd like. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. If you're upright and you want to close class with me, bringing hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, with gratitude for all that we have. And together we breathe in, exhale out. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking and making time for yourself. And you can always email, message me if you have questions. Take care.